Hello everyone, we are back at Brand Consulting. Welcome to our YouTube channel and we are thrilled to be a part of your branding journey. Before we begin, I'd like to take you through the process of branding as quickly as possible because we value your time. One thing to note down is that these steps are not something which takes minutes or hours of doing a work. Some of the brand campaigns takes years of establishment. So before we begin, I just want to point that out. It starts off with the brand philosophy. Think of it as every human being, a man and a woman, having some philosophies of their life. They live and die by these philosophies. Similarly, brands also have these philosophies. A good question to ask your brand is, are you actually practicing your philosophy? So it could be reflected in your website, it could be reflected in your brands, your products, your service, anything. Uber says that they sell time, and that is their philosophy. Similarly, if there is one philosophy or something which your brand believes in, take a step back and think, are we practicing those philosophies? Are those things visible to our audience? Second thing then which boils down to is the positioning. Your brand has to be positioned somewhere into the minds of the consumers the way you want, not how the consumers would see. A good example of this could be mentors whose global positioning is who says no to mentors. But if we go to India, the positioning of mentors is Dimaki Batti Jalade, which is very different from what the global positioning is. And next comes logo and tagline, something which is a visible component, and the positioning strategy which we talked about earlier, that is an invisible component. So combining both of these positioning as well as your logo and tagline, that is your invisible and the visible component together, makes a perfect branding strategy for your audience. But there is a catch. We need to know who our target audience is. Whom should we actually target? That's the most difficult thing for us. Some of them go with the experimental target methods. They try to leverage their products or campaigns thinking that these target groups will be catering to their products or service, but they come back with the results that no, these group of people are not buying. What do we do next? Should we change the target audience altogether? The next thing is your research. Now, this is something which a lot of companies avoid and a lot of brands avoid, and they think that without doing research, let's just go ahead with our brand. We know our idea is perfect. But who knows, that idea may or may not be so good. Your consumers, your TG, your local audience don't like what you actually think. Or maybe there is a better way to attract the consumers. Therefore, a brand research becomes so important. Remember the catch we were talking about earlier? Now, competition analysis forms a big and a pivotal role when it comes to your brand planning. How many brands can you name me when I tell you to list all the AC manufacturers across the world? I'll give you 30 seconds, you can pause this video. Just think of all the brands. Good, you might have thought of some XYZ brands, correct? Now take a look at these brands and let me know which all brands do you know out of these. The takeaway from this is, when I told you first time to let me know all the brands, you might have thought some brand. When I ask you, you will be able to tell me these brands. But the ones which you saw here are something which you remembered, okay, this is also another brand. Okay, that brand is also existing. That is what we call the separation between a top of the mind and a recall. Your brand has to be on the top of the mind when it comes to consumer, and you need to be above competition, and therefore competitor analysis becomes so important. The next step is taking away the essence that comes out from these research and make it your brand USP. If there is any modification or a concept or an idea which the consumer didn't like, that is the area where you want to make a rework and change your brand accordingly so that it is appealing to the masses and the audience. That is your target. You need to align your brand according to what the consumers are saying, and that is the most difficult part, because the consumers are saying something today, the consumers are thinking something else in the next day. So what do? Go back, assess your brand, and then do an entire brand revamp strategy. Now, this is not easy. Brands need to be thinking 2 times ahead of what the consumers are actually wanting. The brand needs to understand what the consumers are going to be thinking next and stay ahead of these consumers, so ahead that they're actually captured. Like, they think of the brand as one of their own, and they see that identity being reflected in these brands. Then comes the brand planning and the entire campaign, which has to be rolled out for 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. It can be of any range. We at BBC have devised 2 terms. One is called sprint, the other one is called marathon. The short and the long run strategies to make the consumers want your brand more. After all that, then comes the role of brand guidelines. Now, this is something which we at BBC lay out, how the brand should look and feel and how it should actually be seen by the audience of yours. These guidelines are very specific as to how your brand should be placed, how it should be positioned, how it should not look, how it should look. It is very important for the brands to touch these consumers at a human level. Gone are those days where you're actually pushing your sales. Consumers don't want to feel like a token of money. They want that human touch. It's very important to be relevant in today's context. Lastly comes the brand audit. Some things which you do out in the campaign, there's lots of hits and misses. Your line managers, your channel managers, they might not understand some things. The reason being, all these campaigns or briefs are written in text and sent out. So what you are trying to communicate may not be visible or may not be properly understood by the ad agencies, the people who are working under you, and there are a lot of misses which the brand makes, which some companies are like, nah, let it be, it's fine. It's very important to understand that your brand should resonate your philosophy by each and every pixel. If you are not doing that, there is a miss. There is that miss which is happening. So if you feel that was too much information for you, there's more than what it meets the eye. So even if you're at a concept level, even if you have formulated your company, or even if you are having a product or service and done the branding before, let us take the hard work. Believe me, it's going to be an experience which you have never had before, and we can help your brand to skyrocket to the next level. Till then, take care and happy branding.